A few months ago I made a video on the concept of vortex flow, and I realized how common it is in nature, how it can make flow more efficient, and how many applications it can have. Using this theory, I built a very efficient fluid mixer, a golden spiral turbine that I strapped to the top of my car, and a compressed air powered boat that uses a spiral impeller to suck itself forward.
But do you know what I didn't build? A vortex engine. Luckily, someone did.
This video was brought to you by Blinkist. This is Sam Rogers. He's a part of the Gravity project that is building a turbofan powered jetpack, and he is also a very ingenious person. He developed the resin 3D printed rocket engine that uses vortex flow to cool down the walls of the engine and better mix the fuel with the oxygen. And as you can see, it works perfectly. Not only is he getting Mach diamonds out of a 3D printed rocket engine, but also the engine is not melting.
For the most part. The only problem is that because the spiral flow only happens after the tip of the nozzle itself is not protected, which means it melts and cannot be 3D printed. Or can it?
If you follow my channel, you know that I have been trying to print ceramic parts using my LCD 3D printer and a ceramic resin called porcelain. I had a small success printing a high temperature resistant part using this resin, but in the process I also destroyed my only furnace. You see, the porcelain resin is 17% resin and 83% ceramic powder, which means that to get a 100% ceramic part, you need to burn out the resin, and for that you need a high power kiln that is able to reach 1300 degrees Celsius.
Because I destroyed the only one I had, well, now I can't fabricate ceramic parts. But because it's Christmas, I gifted one to myself.
I present to you Btch, my brand new kiln that is hot, beige and Portuguese. It's also programmable, so I don't need to use that stupid Ingenious to do the temperature cycles.
Ingenious, you're fired!
You. Nobody likes your videos. I'll work with Tom Stanton instead.
Before I could use my new kiln to get some ceramic parts, first I wanted to better understand vortex combustion. Also, to be honest, I never really built a liquid-fueled rocket engine, so I started off simple.
I cut a piece of transparent acrylic tube and I 3D printed a backlid and the spiral nozzle in resin. I'm using sarcastic engineering resins. They are pretty cheap and high precision. I'll leave a link in the description. As a first test, I filled the engine with confetti and I gave it a go with compressed air. As you can see, a circumferential bed of air is formed that not only separates the confetti from the walls of the engine, but also helps to mix everything inside the chamber.
The concept seems to work. Time to give it a test with fire.
Play!
Okay, we are now first testing with just propane and compressed air. Let's see how this goes.
As an ignition system, I used my old ignition coil and I rehired the Ingenious to interrupt the circuit so I could get a spark.
I want a raise.
Shut up.
Yeah. Oh, すごいです!
As you can see, it works pretty well with combustion too. The thin layer of air separates the combustion from the walls of the acrylic tube. I also found out that you can control the thickness of the layer of air by varying the pressure of compressed air. More pressure means a thicker layer, which also means a smaller combustion volume.
The nozzle is dead, I guess. Look, nozzle destroyed, body completely intact. It works pretty well. Vortex cooling for you guys. Next, I used oxygen instead of compressed air, because that is what separates jet engines from rocket engines. Oxygen. Air, not so much oxygen. Oxygen, a lot of oxygen.
As a source of oxygen, I used a container that was on my oxy kit, which I bought to brace some stuff for other projects.
Why is nothing happening? Just in case you're wondering, nobody is being tortured in the background of that clip. That was just my sister Katerina. She's scared of her own shadow. And the saddest part is that I'm not even exaggerating.
As you can see, when we use the oxygen, the results are pretty different. We don't get a beautiful spiral of combustion, but instead the combustion gets pushed forward into the nozzle, what shortens the nozzle lifespan even more. I thought this was a problem caused by the mismatch between the pressures of the propane and the oxygen, so I ran some simulations on SolidWorks Flow Simulation, and I got to the conclusion that the length of the tube is very important because, depending on the pressure, if the tube is too long, the spiral won't reach the end of the combustion chamber. This is also affected by the pitch of the Vortex generator on the nozzle. So I printed some more rockets and I tried different geometries and sizes. Oh look, it seems like we have a very close spectator. I hope he's enjoying the show.
Can you see it?
Nope.
You can see the spider?
Yes.
Come here. You must go to other places. Scare other people. We can proceed.
Also, I found some tomatoes trespassing my property. So I decided to use the disgusting pseudo-vegetables as test subjects to see if the exhaust of the engine was hot.
You're gonna die! Well, that was fast. That was a bang. Oh, you're laughing at me, tomato, aren't you? Don't worry, I have more rockets. There. The tomato is not dead. This little is still alive. Now we have the petite version, the petite rocket. Poor tomato. I mean, he deserves it. Hell yeah!
Victory!
Sponsor time.
The cliche says that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but if you haven't read the book, what else do you have? The only real solution is to read the book and then judge it, but that's a big commitment, especially if you don't know if the book is worth it. To solve that conundrum, you have Blinkist. Blinkist is an app that condenses non-fiction books into their core information. You can basically read a book in 15 minutes. I personally prefer to listen to them while I'm 3D modeling, doing boring tasks, or pooping. It's better than mindlessly browsing through social media and realizing your friends went to laser tag without you on Tuesday. They didn't invite me. Just today I read a book called In the Pursuit of the Unknown that tells the story behind the 17 most important equations in history, like the Pythagorean theorem and the laws of gravitation by Newton. If you want to start the new year creating good habits, the first 100 people to click the link in the description get unlimited access to Blinkist for a week, and 25% discount if you decide to go for a full membership. By accessing to blinkist.com/intexa, you're helping me do more videos like this, so give it a try and learn something new. Back to the video. As much fun as that was, well, the resin nozzles were getting destroyed too fast. I needed more time to adjust the amount of oxygen and propane, which means it was time to try and 3D print a ceramic nozzle. As a first test, I tried to burn out the resin of 3 parts I already had printed. 1/2 of a cylindrical Tesla valve, a crappy Delegates nozzle, and a beautiful aerospike nozzle. I put them in the kiln where they went through a 7-hour thermal cycle until they reached 1300 degrees Celsius. As you can see, at about 300 degrees the resin starts burning out and coming through the opening. After the cycle was over, I let the kiln cool down and I removed the parts. The Delegates nozzle was 17% smaller due to the extreme thermal diet and a little deformed, but could handle the open flame very well. On the other side, the aerospike nozzle was cracked all over the place and very deformed. The same could be said for the cylindrical Tesla valve, that had massive cracks. The cracks probably come from the fact that the cylindrical Tesla valve and the aerospike nozzle both have complex geometries, what causes aggressive deformations during the contraction when the resin is burning out. I tried printing some simple geometry nozzles to see if I could get away with it. And I kind of did. The cracks were mostly gone, and I even gave them a quick test with a blowtorch, just to see if they could handle it. But there was still a big degree of deformation that made it impossible for me to use them. Still, I tried to use them anyway, and this was what happened.
The point of the nozzle got stuck in the tomato. Not the outcome I was expecting, but, well, it works if the point is damaging the tomato. Look at that. Complete detonation. It's completely destroyed. Yep.
I was cornered without knowing where to go or what to do.
In Taxa, you are cornered without knowing where to go or what to do.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
If you think I'm going to say that nobody likes your failed projects, or will subscribe to your crappy channel, as a way of reverse psychology to get them to do just that, just forget about it.
Okay.
Good. I'm saying nothing actually. You always use my insults as a weird way to get epiphanies and solve your problems. You're alone on this one, with no one to help you.
No one to help me. That's it!
Really? What did I say this time? At least explain it!
So I realized I don't have to solve this problem on my own, so I asked for the help of Greg.
Greg is one of the people that developed Porcelain. I gave him a call and he told me that a great way to avoid cracks is not to exceed a thickness of 1 mm in the parts. He also told me that I should sinter the parts on the kiln without removing the support material, because it helps to prevent deformations. Another thing he suggested was to implement isogrids into the nozzle design, and I asked him, what the hell are isogrids? And he said, isogrids are this rib pattern that you wrap around your parts to make them much stronger without increasing the overall thickness. This works because by adding ribs you increase the moment of inertia of the part. Putting it in simple terms, it's easier to break a part in this direction than in this direction, so you just make it ribbed. Isogrids are normally pretty hard to manufacture by conventional processes, but using a 3D printer makes it much easier.
And that is true, but they are still pretty hard to 3D model.
When you want to 3D model a pattern onto a flat surface, you just draw a pattern and extrude it. It's pretty simple because we are mostly working on a linear way. On the other hand, when you want to insert a pattern on a 3D object, let's say a cone, you need to wrap it around the surface in a way that fits on the surface and closes itself on the other end. It's like when you do a cone out of a piece of paper. First, you draw a 2D template, and then you wrap it around itself to make a cone. I basically did that with a triangle pattern, and I got this design. I 3D printed it and I sintered it without removing the support material. And look at that! No cracks and no deformation. It was ready to go. Because the nozzle didn't have a vortex generator, I had to improvise one with some brass tubing. After that I gave it a test.
We did it! It's a victory and Tomato is completely dead. Yes, Rocket is dead, Nozzle alive, Tomato is dead. I call that a victory.
As you can see, the nozzle is handling the heat pretty well, but the vortex generator is not really doing its job. And something else weird is happening. The combustion is leaking through the nozzle.
Apparently, when you remove 17% of the mass of an object, by burning it out, it becomes porous.
So, I had two more problems to solve. The first one I solved by 3D modeling a nozzle with an inbuilt vortex flow generator that instead of a full ISO grid, adjusts some ribs to make it stronger. I filled the model with tons of support material and I sintered it. The second problem I solved using high temperature resistant fireplace sealant to paint the nozzle and thus make it airtight. After assembling the rocket and connecting everything, I gave it a go.
Yes! Woohoo! Let me turn this off! Jesus Christ! Look at that! We have a fire hazard! Jesus! Now that is a rocket! I made it work! Did you see that? Oh my god! Now that's a rocket, and I think the vortex cooling worked perfectly. For about 10 seconds, I guess. Yeah. Yeah! The tomato is carbonal. I call this a success. I'm a rocket man! Rocket man!
Cringe.
Looking at the slow motion footage, I can see that the combustion is still being pushed to the front, but the nozzle was able to handle it pretty well, so I'm really happy about that.
I know not everyone has a 3D printer at home to replicate this project, and that's the reason why, in my last video I gave away 3 3D printers to the 3 most liked comments suggesting a theme for a future video. Actually I gave 4 because I messed up the like count. Here you can see the winners of the printers. The printers that I gave away were Creality's Ender 3, a really cool printer for starters that has a nice price for its quality of build. Unfortunately I can't give out printers to everyone, but if you really want to get a printer, you can use the link in the description to get to their holiday sale and start making projects. On this video I'm also giving away a 3D printer, and all you need to do to win it is subscribe to the channel, like this video, and post a comment suggesting a theme for a future video. The most liked comment will receive a brand new 3D printer. Well, this is everything for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember, tomatoes are disgusting. See ya!
Catherine, you do not speak Russian. You don't even speak Portuguese very well. Do not call me Btch. This is a family channel. Let's try this one more time. Now, because I'm a professional engineer, I'll use some very traditional method. I'm using tape. I don't think this will work, but... Who farted? Did you just farted on my video?